Let's do this. Are you ready for a comeback? Are you ready to fly? Are you ready for the moment? Get ready to ride. Calling all the fighters, calling on survivors. Are you up all night? We can take it higher. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Of course, I'm voting for Zaneta.
Running through your veins. Now you're burning brighter. Don't look away. Shout out to the legends, rising from the wreckage. Count down the seconds. It's time to engine.
Okay.
Let's do this.
Who are you voting for?
Let's do this.
Mama Zaneta, and I live in Lakeside, so if I live here, I go for her in a minute. Of course. Who are you
I
voting
know we've got a long way to go. I know we've got a long road home. I know we've got a long way to go. Let's do this. Let's do this. Let's do this. Are you ready for a comeback? Are you ready to fly? Let's do this. Are you ready for the moment? Get ready to ride. Let's do this. Oh, you know we're gonna do this. Oh, you know we're gonna do this. Let's do this. Let's do this.
Known her over 20 years. And with that, what I can tell you about Zaneta is she's intelligent, she's ethical, she's coming from the right place. She truly loves Chula Vista, and she loves the people that reside in Chula Vista. For her, it's never been about seeking political office. In fact, Steve Padilla and I had to beg her to run, because we looked at the political landscape and we saw, who's going to continue the work of the city, because we've made tremendous progress in the 7 years that I've been mayor. We've changed so much in the city. We've made it more inclusive. We've made it more accountable to our community. We've set the city on strong financial footing by making some really hard decisions and pushing for tax measures, which is never popular. But I'll tell you, this city would be in really bad shape had we not done that. So we need someone with Zaneta's integrity. We need somebody that's going to hold the line and make those tough choices and do the right thing for the community and not just stick up their finger to see where the political winds are blowing. I think that look at this good start. This is a good start. And it's a good start because so many people know Zaneta and they believe in her. And so I want to present to you the very next mayor of the city of Chula Vista, Zaneta Encarnacion.
Oh my gosh. Well, first I just want to say thank everyone for being here on a Saturday morning when they say it's going to be about 90 degrees. So thank the Lord that we have this beautiful park with these lovely trees and shade. It's very moving to me to see so many of you out there. I want to thank Mayor Mary Salas, Casillas Salas, Mary. Mary and I have been friends. I've treasured our friendship and our partnership over the years and the work that we've done in the community. And so it means a lot to know that the mayor is supporting me as well as Councilmember Padilla. Their friendship spans decades, actually. Yes, and many other people. Yes, thank you. I do also want to thank my family. My husband's right over here, Mike, with the blue shirt. And my son is not here today, but when we started thinking about whether or not, as somebody who has never aspired to be a politician, whether or not we were going to actually be brave and courageous for our city, We talked about it for a year as a family and did not tell anyone we were talking about it because we wanted to make sure that we were anchored to a core value of love for our community. And then we needed to do it together. In the same way, I've done all work in the community. My family has the same value. We do everything together. So I'm excited to have all of you here. I have little just notes to help keep me on track. But I thought, I see people I know, a lot of people I know and I love, and I see a lot of faces that I don't know. So I think this would be a great opportunity for me to share just a little bit about who I am, why I've decided to run for mayor, some of the priorities that I have and vision I have for the city, and why I know that I'm the most qualified candidate to be your mayor. So my dad and my mom are over there too, and I always like to tell the story of me growing up. My dad came down from San Francisco where all his family was, no really family support, very, very young parents. My birth mom and him divorced, and he raised us as a single father who was a Vietnam combat vet and who had undiagnosed PTSD at the time. So we struggled a lot and didn't quite know where that was coming from, but we struggled a lot as a family. And so we relied on a community of care of neighbors and churches and, nonprofit organizations to really just kind of wrap themselves around us and help us navigate that season of life. I still struggled as a kid in those living environments. And at 13 years old, I found myself living on the streets with other homeless youth for about a year and a half. And the one thing I remember during that time was the community of care that the unsheltered community provided for a 13-year-old, all of 70-pound girl who was out there living with other youth. And so that really is a core value that I just watched and I've experienced. I did go back home and went back to high school. I did drop out of high school at 16 years old. 16-year-old problems didn't seem really relevant to me at that point. I had a lot of life experience. And so I joined the workforce. And I remember my dad telling me that find a good job, preferably a union job because then there's security. That's how we measured success in our family. We didn't have an educational background, so we wanted to be independent, go to work. So by 16 years old, I was living on my own. I was working full time. And if it wasn't for the people who surrounded me, my coworkers, my supervisors, friends that I started making, who saw the potential in me that I could not see, I would not be standing here in front of you all as a college graduate, community college, a bachelor's degree, a master's degree, and I'm halfway through my doctorate program at USC. So that's who I bring to any position in any space that I'm in, is the keen awareness that everybody has the ability and deserves the opportunity to be successful. Nobody is a losing case, right? There's plenty of people who would have wrote me off, and I'm so glad people didn't. And that's how I go into all of my work. That's how I've dived into community service. Chula Vista is such a beautiful community. I really do feel like I could compete with Mary on how much I love this community, because if you know Mary, she loves this community. But this community gave our family such rich roots in community connections that I never had growing up. And I've been able to raise my son here. And actually, many of you have been part of raising my son here and have gone through the journey that we have gone through as parents of an LGBT youth. And so I thank you for that. And that is the beautiful thing about Chula Vista. It's not just limited to me. It's all of us, right? We take care of each other. And Chula Vista hasn't always been easy, right? I was talking to somebody here about how they lived on the east side and the recession happened and they had to move back to the west side, and that happened to our family, Leo, right there, yeah. Like, I understand those struggles because I also lost my job in 2008, And then the next job was part-time for a couple years, and the recession hit, and we were in 91915, which was the highest zip code with the highest foreclosures in the nation. So, right, Chula Vista made its mark, but not in the way we wanted to make its mark. And we understand the struggles that our families had to experience because we experienced them. We had to make tough choices to save our home because we knew having our home and the equity in our home was what was going to help us bounce back. And then Chula Vista showed up for us. We dove into community service that turned into more different relationships and job opportunities. And we have continued to just invest our hearts and souls into this community because we are thankful and grateful for what it has provided to us. So that's the type of person, and that's who I am, and that's who I am going to be as your mayor, is I understand the struggles our community faces, and I also understand the unrealized possibilities that await our community. So I want to talk a little bit about my priorities and my vision because I've been part of working with Mary and the council and community organizations and civic groups and really moving Chula Vista forward. And so my priorities are economic development first because we know that our community is on the precipice of really great things. Chula Vista will be the epicenter of economic development in the region. And it's important for us to recognize that and lean into it. We need to elevate ourselves as a regional partner, but not just regionally. We need to do that at the state level, right? We tend to get the stepchild from LA and San Francisco and southern San Diego, and Chula Vista and South County are huge epicenters for economic prosperity. So we also need to make sure that our businesses are thriving. Our businesses have been hurt from this pandemic. Our small businesses, many of our small businesses are mom and pop, non-traditional English language learners, various languages spoken, and we need to not just have the ability to talk about resources that are available to them. We need to be able to invest in the time and the care that they need to walk them through the process of how to access those resources. We also need to make sure that the large projects that are coming through actually have ripple effect benefits into our community. We can have this wonderful bayfront, but if everything stays at the bayfront and it's so easy to 10 minutes to go downtown and our city doesn't receive any of that extra tax revenue from our tourists, we lose. So we need to make sure that we're planning thoughtfully. We need to make sure that our workers here in Chula Vista have the opportunity to work in Chula Vista in high-paying jobs so they're not spending 45 minutes to an hour on the freeway. And what that does is so much more than just, make it harder to reduce our greenhouse gases and add time to people's work days. It allows our tax dollars to be spent outside of the city. And then it doesn't allow our citizens to be able to come back and maybe enjoy a sports game of their kid, right? Because they're coming back too late for that. So there's a quality of life component to that as well. We also want to take a look at ensuring that Chula Vista remains thriving and continues to thrive as a community. And what that means is our youth, we have a few youth here that I love seeing, that our youth have opportunities right here. Opportunities for work, opportunities to purchase homes, opportunities to give back and develop leadership so that we're growing our own in Chula Vista, right? So in 8 years from now, there's some dynamic young person who can come in and follow me, and we can do that all across the city. We also need to make sure we have a large senior population, and sometimes they get forgotten. And seniors have very unique economic and social needs. We need to make sure that we are here for our seniors, that we are providing them the resources that they need that are so unique to seniors now, this day, than they were 20 years ago, right, if you were a senior. And we need to make sure that our voice, your voice, is represented right over there in City Hall. we're kind of a big city. Like, we don't like to think of ourselves as a big city. We still kind of operate as a small city, but we're a big city. And what that means is we can get further and further and further away from the decisions that are being made that affect each of our quality of life. And so my goal, because this is what I've done for 20 years before ever even deciding to run for office, is to shrink that process where our city hall can be closer to the community, that you will hear decisions and you will see yourself in those decisions and you will hear your values in those decisions. And then lastly, I want to just talk about my experience a little bit. As a first-time candidate, that is true. I have not run for office before. There's a strength in that, and there's a weakness, right? I haven't been on the ballot. But I can tell you, I've been serving this community the way most candidates start to do when they decide to run for office for the last 20 years. I am the only candidate who has 20 years of executive leadership experience in governance and in operations. And I don't mean that for a small company. I mean the city of Chula Vista, who's responsible for thousands of employees and hundreds and thousands of constituents. The Southwestern College, who's responsible for 1,500 employees and 30,000 students. That says something, and that's what you want in a mayor, is somebody who can go in day one and start the work day one. Let's see. I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything. And my proven track record in the community. Many of you know, some of you don't know, but you will know. I have spent my last 20 years working across communities, the business community, nonprofit community, advocacy organizations community. And when I'm asked if I'm a one-issue candidate, if I'm only a social justice candidate, because I do get asked that, I say, and I'm going to say to all of you, because this is who I am, I will go down fighting to my last breath to make sure my son lives in a city that welcomes him, that makes him feel safe, and we need to have a city where he can find a job, where he can purchase a home, where he can set up his own business and not have to wait 2 years for permitting processes to go through and possibly lose so much money that he doesn't get a chance to actually open that business, right? I mean, these are the things that our community struggles with. The real world does not operate in siloed issues. The real world requires you to see the impact of one issue to the next issue to the next issue, so that comprehensively we can be building a community and a city that serves everybody. I don't think I said the sentence I was supposed to say, that I'm Zaneta Encarnacion, and I'm running to be your next mayor of Chula Vista.
Let's do this!